Hello there and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Brave 7 LE action camera, and in this video I'm going to give you guys an overview of it, its features, and at the end of the video I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think about this camera having used it. Now, it is an action camera like many of the other ones that you've seen out there from GoPro and DJI. However, there is one or two little things that I think are quite special about this one, and one of them is specifically the price, because it costs just $140. And for that, you're getting quite a lot. So the first thing we're going to do is jump in and take a closer look at the camera itself. I'm going to walk you through the menus, and then at the end I will give you my thoughts having spent some time with it. The Akaso Brave 7 LE will look very familiar if you have owned an action camera before. When you open the box, the first thing you will do is find the camera sitting in the right hand side with quite a nice little message from Akaso themselves and Tommy Cadwell, just telling you a little bit about themselves and the camera. The first thing you will find when you take the camera out is that it comes in this dive housing as standard. Now, the camera is actually water resistant itself. However, it has this additional dive housing which allows up to 40 meters depth in total. And again, it's of similar design to others we've seen in the past. Taking a closer look at the camera itself, it features a 20 megapixel sensor with dual LCD screens. It has water and dust resistance, and it is capable of recording up to 4K 30 frames a second, 1080p up to 120 frames a second, or 720p up to 240 frames a second. It has a 2-inch touchscreen LCD located on the back and a smaller display LCD located on the front. It is both dust and water resistant, and on the bottom you will find it has a built-in tripod mount as well. It also has a built-in HDMI output port for being able to connect it to external devices. It uses a 3.7 volt battery which is located in the bottom, which also is where you put your SD card, and the battery capacity is 1350 milliamp hour or 4.995 watt hour. Now, the launch edition of the kit that I got comes with a whole range of accessories. It comes with obviously the camera itself, which is IPX7 water resistant. However, it also comes with this external housing, as I showed earlier, which allows you to use it down to 40 meters. It has spare battery packs as well as a USB charger as well. And I also have this little watch type remote controller that allows me to actually start and stop recording on the camera or fire the shutter remotely, rather than using the buttons on the top or using the app if it was in, say, a surfing situation or something like that. Alongside these, they also give you these two bags full of accessories as well. In this one, there is all of the brackets that you would expect for attaching it like onto a handlebars, attaching it onto your helmet, and all of the other kinds of accessories like that. And there literally is a bag full of them. And in this one here, you get some cable ties, a USB cable, as well as a cleaning cloth and some spare adhesive pads to go on the bottom of those brackets. So not only do you get the camera, you get a nice kit in the launch edition as well. Now, the next thing I want to do is quickly walk you through the menu system and give you a quick overview of the available functions and features. Now, what we will do is get the camera turned on, bring it up so we can see it on the screen, and I'm going to pop it onto my other camera here next to me so we can jump between the two. Now, as you can see, we've got the main back screen up, and what you've got here is an overlay of what options are available. It's telling us that we're in video mode, the available recording. The little icon in the middle is telling us that the image stabilization is turned on, the microphone is turned on, the battery level. Along the bottom, we've got the button for playback, the button for settings, and then on the right hand side you've got the digital zoom in and out. So if I tap them, it'll actually zoom the image in, and I can tap that then to zoom the image out. Now, the back screen on this camera is a touch screen, and you can actually control various functions. If you swipe on it, you can actually swipe between the stills function and the video function, simply swiping across. If you swipe down from the top, you will have the option to actually lock the screen on the camera or turn the camera off. If you swipe up from the bottom, it gives us the resolution or image capture modes. So for instance, I'm in video mode at the moment and it's currently showing us the current frame rate, which is 4K 30 frames a second. We can then scroll down all of the available options, which is 2.7K 60, 2.7K 30, 1080p up to 120 frames a second, 60 frames a second, 30 frames a second, 720p up to 240 frames a second for your slow motion, and then you've got the 720p down to 60 as well, just like you would expect. Now, as I scroll through these, you can actually see this little icon in the top corner go on and off, and the reason for that is the option for the image stabilization that is built into the camera. However, that isn't available in every mode, and it's generally only available in the standard frame rates and none of the slow high speed frame rates that you've got on the camera. You can use that then to also manually turn on and off the image stabilization as well. On the bottom, we then have the option for the quality, which is high, middle and low when we're in video mode. And if I move back over to stills, you can see that the options actually change, and then you've got the resolution of the still images option at the top and then the metering mode option at the bottom. Now, to enter the settings on the camera, we simply press the little settings icon on the bottom, and the settings options in here are dictated by what mode you're in. If I then come back out and go back into video mode and go back into the settings, you can see that these settings have moved now to more video-centric options such as video resolution, voice record, so you can tell it to record audio or not, turn the image stabilization on and off. Now, you can also control various parts of the camera via the buttons on the top, just like you can on all of them. On the main button up here, if I press that, it will actually jump through stills, and then it will jump into this menu here that actually allows us to select playback, video setup and photo setup, and it's just a shortcut into the settings. If you press and hold the top M button, it will actually rotate the screen from the back to the front. So the back one's now gone off, and if I hold it up, you can see that the front one's on, and if I put it back onto that camera there, you can see that the front LCD is actually now active. Something I really love about this camera is that front LCD. The first time we saw this was on the DJI Osmo Action, and this has pretty much copied that, and it is a fantastic addition on a camera of this cost. And whilst it isn't a touchscreen, it is extremely handy to be able to actually look and see your framing when using the camera for yourself, for vlogging and things like that. On the side, you've then also got the power button, and if you do a brief press on this, it will turn the Wi-Fi option on and off for connecting to the app on our phone, and we'll actually take a look at that a little bit more in a minute, and it brings up all of the settings for that one. Now, that is pretty much all of the main settings on the camera itself, and overall the main functionality is all in there. It's fairly simple and a straightforward menu system, not too unlike the DJI, and a bit easier to get around than the GoPro one in my opinion. Now that I've got the app connected, I can just walk you through some of the features. Now, I've got it connected on my phone at the top, and it just shows it listed in the top of the list. So if I tap on that, it will actually connect because I'm already on the Wi-Fi, and you can see that it's come up, and if I move my hand in front of it, you can see that on the display. Now, some of the functionality of this camera is a lot easier to do on the app, actually. On the top left-hand side, you've got obviously the battery and the auto white balance. On the top right, you've got the option to change the resolution because we're in video mode, and we can just scroll through them and change them. At the bottom, we've got the option to play back what's on our card, whether it be video or stills. So for instance, I can click on the video and it'll show them there, and we could actually download them onto my smart device if I wanted to. In the center, then you've got the big record button, which tells the camera to start recording and stop recording. And then at the bottom, you've got the option for video, stills to change it over to the stills mode so we can capture an image. So I can do that, and then when you're in stills, you obviously get the resolution options in the top corner, and then you get the timer options next to it as well if you want to do a timer. And then next to that, you've got the time-lapse options for the camera as well if you wanted to do it that way. And that is the main overall functionality. You can then click it at the top, and it gives us the settings on the device as well. All of the same options that we get within the camera itself is all available to be adjusted. As you can see, we can scroll down, click about, and it gives us the app version, the firmware version as well. So everything that is available on the camera is available on the app as well. So if you'd rather actually control it remotely, you can do it nice and easily via the included app. Now, the app itself is called iSmart DV, and it's available on both the iOS and the Android App Store to download. You just download it, connect it to the Wi-Fi, and you're ready to go. Just to give you guys a comparison of how it looks compared to a GoPro Hero 7 Black, here is simply some 4K footage overlooking the Haven on a cloudy day. As you can see, I switch over to the GoPro. Both were filmed in 4K 30 frames a second, just to give you a reference between the two. Here I have zoomed in on that same footage we just recorded just to show you what the detail looks like when you do zoom in. And if we then take a look on the GoPro, one thing that is very clear is that there is a different field of view between the cameras because of the different size lenses that they have. This next image is a still image taken on the Brave 7 at 20 megapixel, and this one is a 12 megapixel image taken on the Hero 7 just to show what they're like. And again, another image on the Brave 7 and the other one then on the GoPro just to compare what the two look. Now, this bit of footage here is just to demonstrate the built-in image stabilization. Here I am riding with the Brave 7 on my bike with it mounted to the handlebars with the image stabilization off. Now I have turned the image stabilization on, and you can see that there is a dramatic difference in how the footage looks between them. Literally, with it off, the footage is very shaky, moves around, and take note, as I hit this little walk crossing, the amount of movement, and if I do the same again now with the image stabilization on, it is barely noticeable on this footage. Okay, so I am out and about with the Brave 7 LE. I've got it in 4K, 30 frames a second, and at the moment I have got it with the stabilization turned off. Now I'm just holding the camera for this. It's not on a mount or anything, it's not on a gimbal, and it's not even on a tripod. It's simply just in the palm of my hand like that. And I just wanted to demo what the video stabilization is like with it on as well as with it off as well. Now the nice thing about this, like the DJI camera, is that it has that front facing screen, so I'm actually able to keep myself in view as I'm walking and able to talk to the camera if you want to do that blogging and vlogging kind of thing as well. So what I'll do now is switch over to it with the image stabilization turned on. Okay, so I've got the image stabilization turned on now, and again, as I said, I'm just hand holding the camera. I can push it out a bit further, or I can keep it there. Now the nice thing with this is that you do have that front facing screen. It means you are able to keep yourself in shot, in frame, if you do want to do it. Now I don't know how the audio is going to sound in this. I'm out and about, as I said. I'm in among some trees, but it is very, very windy today. There's some very bright sunshine coming through the trees as well, so that is blasting out towards me. However, the camera does seem to be holding up fairly well on the screen that I'm looking at the front, but we'll have to see how it looks with the main image as well. Okay, so to give you my final thoughts on the Brave 7 LE. Overall, it's actually a very interesting action camera. With regards to usability and image quality, it is not up there with the likes of the GoPros or the DJI Osmo Action. The image just doesn't stand up compared to those. In the stills, there is quite a bit of noise evident, and the same is in the video as well, especially when you hit low light. However, do take into account that this is a $140 camera, and for that, not only are you getting the camera, but you're getting some of the accessories as well. It does have the front mounted screen. It does record in 4K. It is IPX7 water resistant, and with that external housing, you can take it down to 40 meters as well. It is 20 megapixel and it will do that 4K, but if you want the high speed, you can get up to 240 frames in 720p. Overall, if you're after a nice cheap action camera, it is well worth a look. And one big bonus for this one is that it does have that HDMI output on the side as well that does allow you to connect it to external devices, and the GoPros do have that, but the Osmo Action does not, so this one gets a win over that. So if you were looking for an action camera with that built-in front screen, you can look at this one as an option. Finally, it's also very handy that it does have that tripod mount directly in the bottom too, and that was one of the big criticisms a couple of the other cameras have had, and the fact they have been able to squeeze that inside is another good bonus. If you're interested in getting the Brave 7 LE, there is a link to it in the description of this video. Overall, for the price, I think it's the best action camera in this price bracket, around £140, $140. If you did want the absolute best image quality, I would still suggest looking at the GoPro Hero 7 and 8 or the Osmo Action. However, if you're after something that ticks most of the boxes and you're willing to take a bit of a step down on image quality, then take a look at the Brave 7 LE. That's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Please do consider hitting that subscribe button, and I will do another video again soon.